Peace, family. Special documentation. Special documentation coming, man. Make sure y'all subscribe. This is about to go crazy. I got a good trip coming up. I'm on my way to go do something very special. We're about to have an amazing week that's coming up. And I need y'all to, if you want to be a part of it and you want to see the documentation of everything, make sure y'all go subscribe, because we're going to be putting everything, for the subscribers only. And then, we got 19 Keys TV coming out. And so we about to start pushing out a lot of the behind the scenes content, right? A lot of the things that I don't show about my life a lot. We have a documentary that's coming. We have a lot of different things. We have other shows that's going to be coming that you don't get. Just make sure that you all tap into that, because it's going to be real special. A lot of things that y'all been wanting to see. You say share more about your life. You say, even a lot of the things, like I don't even really want to teach finance. I don't want to sell finance. I only want to give it away for free, right? The only time I'm going to teach something is when I feel like I've mastered it. But there's a lot of things, like in the BWO that we teach, that I feel like, it's necessary to, make sure that people stay up on it. But there's more things that I'd rather just give away, because I want you to be responsible for your own execution, right? And then sometimes when people pay people, they feel like that person is responsible for how they execute the information. And I like people who know how to think. So if you don't have that knowledge installed within yourself, then that's on you. You understand me? If you don't have that level of critical thinking skills to be able to execute, that's on you. Nobody is here to save. You got to save yourself, right? Because everything that I didn't know, I had to teach in order to grow. So, we got a lot that's going to be coming, a lot that is on the way. But listen, we just dropped a new high-level conversation. It's called Becoming Immortal, and that one is actually one of my favorites. I know it's an instant classic, so make sure y'all lock in with that. I'm working on a motherland trip right now, and what I'm going to want to do after I take my trip is I want to take a trip with people with me. So probably take a group of like 100 people. It won't be an inexpensive trip. It's definitely going to be a more luxury trip. So, the people that come with us, they're going to be able to, move through, out of the continent and get that high level experience like none other. And, I'm going to make sure that we vet everybody that come on a trip, because I don't want just anybody going. Right? I need people that are high level. I need people that are in a mentally sane place. I want stalkers. I don't want over talkers, man. I want the bosses. I want the high level, you understand me, individuals that's going to be ready. And this is why it's going to have a certain price tag attached to it, to make sure that, even the people that's on the trip are people that you can network with, people that you can build with, right? So this is going to be amazing. I'm looking forward to that. We got a new book coming out called Self Wars. It's going to really be amazing. A lot of the things that I teach and things that I experience, I'm going to be able to quantify and give them in concepts, so that you can utilize those same skills, tools, right, to master your own mind, to master, right, your ability to conquer spiritual and mental battles, to be in a high place. A lot of people don't know how to deal with stress, anxiety. A lot of people don't know how to remain calm during the storms, right? And we're going to teach you a lot of these tools, how to go through your shadow self, how to build that light self, how to really understand, and tap into your power and reality. And that's what we on. Now, I want to switch topics a little bit, and I want to talk about something that I think is important to talk about. Did anybody see the woman, the woman and her son in Chicago, where the 14-year-old boy had to shoot, right, this man that was attacking his mother? And there were so many layers to that moment that was happening that I think is textured, right? And it requires a conversation. It requires a deep conversation, to be honest. And it's hard to comment on things like that, because the nuance. Damn, man, people always hit me as soon as I go live. I don't even go on live no more like that. But it requires a lot of conversation. The sister name was Carlisha Hood. Now, I did not see the full video, so I can only comment on, the high level of what I saw and what I believe is an important conversation to have. And when I have conversations, I need people to be non-emotional in order for these conversations to really stick the way they're supposed to. But I don't know if we can always do that. It's very layered and it's very important, right? The conversation about protecting black women, the conversation about protecting black boys, the conversation about men knowing how to protect, which people never have this conversation in the right context, because what we're asking when we say men protect black women, it is a slogan and it is a campaign for men to be traditional masculine. She don't need a lawyer. The charges were dropped on her sister already. But this is the campaign, and this is what nobody is talking about. This is a campaign for men to be traditional masculine. Traditional masculinity. The moment you start asking black men to protect black women, you are asking black men to take on the traits and characteristics of traditional masculinity. You are actually asking for the patriarch to work, in the sense that men lead and take that responsibility and are held with the helm of accountability at a high level. I think you have to be careful, because a lot of these movements be tricking people. They trick people and say, man, masculinity is the issue, the patriarch is the issue, but then want aspects of that same masculinity to still exist after you destroy it. You do not get both. You do not get both. You will not get both. And unless you push it and celebrate it and get on the side, right, of that masculine design and that masculine divine, you don't deserve it. Now, this is something I know is harsh to say. You don't deserve it, because I can't deserve my own protection if I don't train myself. I deserve to protect myself if I train. And that's hard to say, but think about that idea. It's basically saying if you hop in a ring with somebody else who can fight and you've trained as best as you can to bring out your skill and study your opponent, you deserve to win. Because in that situation, not only does a black man have to step up, he has to win. You have to win. Because nobody wants to step in and get knocked down. I never said she asked her son to do anything. So I don't care about the narratives of the news. This is higher than that. This is different. We're having a higher perspective on the conversation, and we're using that as an example to pull in a bigger conversation. So when we be like, nah, let the men be feminine and get their nails done and let expression be expression and blah. Okay. But don't you want black men to protect black women too? Don't you want men to protect women? When men see things that's wrong in society and the agendas that go wrong, especially with these corporations, don't you want the men to stand up? Well, that's a masculine trait to stand up as a man, because he has to get over his own fear and he has to go into a place of courage. Just think of it. He got to be trained. He got to be a soldier. He got to be a warrior. So you're asking the warrior archetype to stand up. That's what you're asking, and you have to understand that it is more dangerous for men to step in these days, because when a man steps in, he only has, being a man doesn't mean that you won't get killed in that situation. Doesn't mean that you won't be greatly harmed, create an enemy that will hunt you later, right? Or it doesn't mean that you will win. Doesn't mean any of those things. So people put the title of the man steps in, but that doesn't mean he might not make the situation better. He may make it worse because he haven't been working out, ain't been training, ain't been eating right. And all of a sudden, his life was interrupted because he see a situation. Now he steps in. What if he get knocked out? Then she gets knocked out. See, this is why we know. Go train. Go work out. Go build the confidence to be a soldier. Because you don't just tell. Because what you're doing is you're telling men to step into a war. That's what the warrior does. Step into battle. Be ready for battle. Be prepared for battle. That's the conversation that you're asking to have. That's the conversation. You're telling them they got to be ready for battle. When a soldier is ready for battle, that's because he goes through training. He has to strip himself of this so-called feminine, weak identity, and he has to masculate himself to be a soldier ready for combat. Now, somebody say, you are correct. Stepping in does not have to be aggressive. It can be corrective. You are correct. But even that is a certain level of training of de-escalation. And when you live in an environment, especially in the hood, St. Louis, Chicago, Oakland, you know what I'm saying? Different environments that are, I'm talking about, really dangerous. Detroit. You have to assess the situation on many different levels because sometimes you're not dealing with practical people. The cops walk around with guns. Soldiers walk around with guns. Ready, right, to use deadly force if necessary. That is the point of carrying the gun. Now, if you got a soldier, let's say an FOI was in there, Fruit of Islam, military name given to the branch of the Nation of Islam, because the fruit represents the best part of the tree. Now, he's going to step in and say, excuse me, bro. And say, first, he's probably going to step in, and he's probably going to try to correct the sister to just relax. Like, sis, just relax for a second, because you can't win in this situation. So you may go to the person, right, that if they just calm down, it can diffuse a situation. So in a situation like that, you go step in, sometimes in between, right? So you go like, man, listen, let me step in, let me talk to y'all. Excuse me, bro. Excuse me, sis. Sis, let's just calm this down. Like, let's not even turn this into more than it has to be. The brother is frustrated, right? Because if you go straight at the brother while he already aggravated and in the stance of frustration, he already want to knock somebody out. He already want to take that anger out. So then you, right, become the person that he can get that energy off on. So the first thing you go do is listen. This conversation is rooted in patriarchy. So what? We not running from no patriarchy. I'm not. Y'all gotta take that agenda somewhere else. It's not rooted in matriarchy. I didn't grow up in no matriarch. I didn't grow up with a woman leading me. You know, I don't need a woman to lead me. I'm a man and I can say that. And y'all think that men supposed to be soft where they can't even speak on things. Nah, because you want a man to be, you know, that patriarch in that moment, but then the rest of the time he's got to drop that. This has had to be a practice. So if you looking for a sucker that's going to go along with these new terms and words because of the intersectionality of all of these women's movements, that ain't got nothing to do with me. Because if you want me to be a man, I got to be a man. It ain't got nothing to do with your opinion on how you think the world has been ran before I was born. It ain't got nothing to do with that. Because the Black Panthers had a patriarch. Nation have a patriarch. You know what I'm saying? Marcus Garvey, Dr. King, Malcolm X. They all was leading. They were patriarchs. And to celebrate them is to celebrate the patriarch of their leadership. So Nina Simone, she said, I want to address it. She said, no, in this situation, so much of the blame is always placed on the woman what she is doing wrong. It is not about blame. So you're taking it from an emotional standpoint. And this is why, we deal with situations that have nothing to do with emotion. It's about strategy. You take emotion completely out of this. It don't matter if she's wrong. She is not the person that can win in that situation. She can be completely right. You still gonna step to her because it's about de-escalation. It is not being a judge in that situation. Oh, you're right, I'm going to defend you. It's no, this is what I need to do as I assess this situation so that I can properly diffuse this situation. Because the mother was doing things to add to the fire of the situation. And possibly because she know her son was strapped. She didn't have to call him, but she was loud enough to know that if he heard, the confidence that she had probably was the fact that she knew that there was a strap, that she was ready to kill. Somebody talking about something. Let me get you on that. You're tripping. So what happened is that situation could have went so many different ways. Right? And the young boy, luckily he had good aim in a sense to where he shot the person that he wanted to shoot. Right? But that could have went away where, I'm not sure what his aim was like. I don't know what that young boy's life is. I don't know what that mother's life is. I don't know anything about that whatsoever. So I can't tell you anything. I can just tell you from the outside looking at this situation that if my mother's arguing with a grown man, right? First of all, my mom is smart enough to know, do not be in there arguing, yelling, trying to demean a grown man. It does not make any sense. Especially in the hood where men don't have good mental training. Right? They're over aggressive. Everything about their culture, right? Especially in their ghetto survival environments, right? Hyper stress, hyper anxiety, sometimes depression. Sometimes self-destructive thought processes. Probably already feels emasculated and weak and deals with this kind of environment. I don't know. But if I'm addressing and I'm looking at the social environments that most black men are under in the hood, that this is where it is. So it's usually one trigger away from just going off the edge. So the brother said he should have never used his hands. Of course, we know that. I deal with reality. I don't deal with what should be. I look at the statistics. Black men are highest when it comes to mental illness, right? The hyper-aggressive activities in the hood. You're not dealing with people who have emotional intelligence and control. So when you're in the hood, you can't deal with what men should do. You have to look at the probability of what they will do. It ain't about a blame game. It's about what is the best. It's about a high level perspective on it. Because there was wrongs on both sides, on all sides. No woman should be yelling at a man, cursing him out, demeaning him, calling him a bitch, on him, that why. None. Because you're putting yourself in harm's way. Not only you're putting yourself in harm's way, you're putting a man who's going to have to step into harm's way to help protect or de-escalate or defuse the situation. And of course, this is an automatic, that no man should touch a woman, right? But you're not dealing with men who's listening to this advice all the time. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not teaching you how to deal with calm men. I'm teaching you how to deal with men who are overreactionary, who are emotionally weak, who will be triggered, who will go off. You don't need training to deal with men who will never touch you and put their hands on you. You need training to deal with those who don't have that ability of self-control and who may go off. So you can't operate for what men should do in that situation, because this is how people get caught up in doing things, because they have an expectation of what should happen versus what will happen. And I deal with reality. If I go to the hood and I'm moving throughout the streets, of course, no person should rob me, bang on me. None of those things should happen, ideally, but they happen every single day. Not only do they happen every single day to black men. Black men are getting killed at an alarming rate all the time. That boy is free and his mother is free, and the charges have been dropped. So let's think about a high level view. It ain't about their situation. Yeah, when you're dealing with niggas instead of men, it's different. A man shouldn't even, men should not, like, we men lives are not given the same level of empathy just off top. Because we always say, leave the women and children out of it. But there are innocent black men who die every single day that have really done nothing in life, and there's 0% empathy for them. There are men who get on camera and they get knocked out every single day. Bro ain't had no training. That brother he had 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 pounds on him. He get knocked out every single day. And because, I come from a place of a soldier. Like, I come from men that every single day, every week, they were training. They were fighting. They had guns to them, be honest with you. Like, these were the environments that I grew up in. But there's no empathy. And so the black men today are becoming selfish. They're saying nobody cares what happens to me. So it then makes them not care what happens. I'm just giving you the dichotomy of the mindset. Giving you the psychology of what's going on out there. You have to understand what we're dealing with and the nature of what all of this trauma has produced. When was the last time y'all seen, Bank of America has $100 million fund for black men? Never. Because when it comes to social justice, the only time black men are involved in a conversation is when they did. So you have to understand the mentality. These young boys think nobody cares. These young men are not trained. They are niggas. The music they listen to is nigga music. Look at the food that you're eating. You're eating food in that environment, eating the hot dogs and things, that's messing up the gut, that's making people even more aggressive by eating these junk and these nasty, devilish foods. You're not in an environment where they was going to go get some vegan and they care about their life, man. Nobody care about their life when you go into a fast food restaurant. Nah, you have to understand what you're dealing with in impoverished environments. When people are living in ghettos on top of each other, they're more aggressive. People don't even have space to breathe and feel comfort and feel rest. So it's easy to just come out on social media and say, black man do this, come on, you got to you can't just be dealing with the cause without dealing with the effect. Otherwise, you get nowhere in changing the reality. Darren, I tell y'all want to take things out of context all the time, then you could just leave. Bruh say, if I see somebody harming my mom, what I'm going to do? Murder is on my mind if something like that happened. I ain't say nothing about the young brother and how he responded. If he didn't have that gun, I imagine he would have ran in there and fought bruh. But bruh probably had 50, 60 pounds on him. So he most likely would have lost. Unless that young boy was in boxing or in training. You play with any of my family, man, whatever happens to your family is fair game. That's the way I think. I'm just letting you know. So I ain't talking about the young boy. I'm talking about de-escalating the situation where a young man does not have to take another young man's life. And all those things can be avoided. And then I'm looking at what happened before. A person lives a whole life before that moment. That boy had 14 years. That mother had 40 years. That man had 30 years. There was life and situations that happened before everything of that exact moment. They lived an entire life and we don't know any of it. So I empathize because I know I've seen people have moments where their whole life was taken away. And then if you can look at the cause of what created the ripple effect for that moment to happen, the perfect storm. I don't know the stress the woman was going through. I don't know the stress the man was going through. I don't know the life the young boy was going through. I don't know where his father is. I don't know their environment. I don't know what kind of survival, what kind of stress they was under. I don't know if they've been attacked before. I don't know the fright and flight response. That everything that happened, and we always look at moments and we never look at the cause. What was the life they lived before that? That's what my mind goes towards. Who are these people? That's the question. But if we're not able to assess the situation ever, then we never actually get to the root, which means we can never actually make a change. So, ladies and fellas, you know, living in those environments, very hard to reach a person to try to give them advice of sanity, and it's very hard to try to give advice of sanity to people who are living in insane environments. Almost impossible. It's very hard to reach, and this is why the work that we do of changing those situations before that happened, because, you know, there was a lot that created those moments before that took place. So we got to have empathy, and we have to promote masculinity, and we have to promote femininity, and we have to promote education, and we have to promote all these things. I'm going to run in there real quick. Hear me? Driver, I got to run in that building, then I'll be right back.
No problem.
All right.
Wait here.
Yeah. That's why I can't wait to do my campaign. We're going to hit the streets. And this is why you got to promote the FOI, man. The FOI be out there actually doing the work that nobody be promoting, so that situations like this don't exist. This is why I gave money to my brother Golden Child during my tour when we was in Chicago. You know what I'm saying? I gave money to some of the grassroots organizations that help deal with situations. Gave money to my brother in Detroit. You know what I'm saying? New Era Detroit, who actually go out in the hood and de-escalate. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is why we go do these things, because ain't nobody else go do them. Ain't nobody else is trying to fund, right, the real work. And that real work is the shit that you don't see. That's in the hood. That's in the streets. People that get affected by this every single day.